changed
Well,
things?
I mean, I think the Bills come into every game with schematically to keep the top on the defense, and then they were split by that Johnson catch. And then after that, they played everything top down. But I also thought Sean McDermott was able to create pressure in multiple different ways by diversifying the look of the front, whether it was having backers drop or dropping people into the rush from the second level. I didn't feel like Bo Nix was comfortable after that first drive, and they had that late drive in the second quarter where they missed the field goal, and I feel like after that, the Buffalo Bills absolutely took over with pressure and disguise on the back end.
Yeah. So I really wanted to highlight this for a handful of reasons, because talking about Bo Nix, how they did everything they can to not make him, to make him uncomfortable and all of that. And I think the Bills did a great job defensively, obviously, considering what the final score was. But I think the fact that Bo Nix had the success that he did on the road, the Bills really going all in on being like, hey, we're going to do what we can. Listen, as I always say, anytime I ever reference stats like this, I don't live and die by it, and especially not PFF's rankings, but they are my more favorite when I'm talking about advanced analytics. And when you compare it, I mean, look what he's right up there, 85. That's his offensive rating. I mean, above Russell Wilson, above Jaden Daniels, technically. And again, that's why you can't just trust it, because what Jaden Daniels did was truly special. Jaden Daniels played better than Russell Wilson, But the reason why I'm highlighting this more than anything, because it just shows you, though, that, like, even in a more basic game, 144 yards, 13 for 22. Again, it's obviously not world-beating by any stretch of the imagination, but it still shows that he wasn't a liability. He was not bringing this team down. He wasn't the issue. That's what that signals to me more than anything. But again, like I said, it doesn't always tell the story either, because in a game where Jaden Daniels is truly special, especially situationally, and you see that he's actually ranked lower, you're like, well, what does that actually mean? So that's why using stats and ratings, you always kind of have to put it into context. But I think he took care of the ball. I think he did exactly what he was asked for. He was asked to do. He really went with the flow of the game and let the game come to him. I think there was a couple moments that that the team should have stepped up for him, and you can even see it right here, where four drops. You can't have that. You can't have that in the playoffs. It becomes too devastating. And look at the other teams that won convincingly, or really took care of it. Lamar Jackson, 0 drops. Josh Allen, 0 drops. Jaden Daniels, 0 drops. Jalen Hurts, 0 drops. You can't have it. You can't have 4, especially. It's gonna get to you. That, and then struggling to run the ball, as well as missed field goal. You're not going to be able to do that on the road against Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You're just not, obviously. But again, he continues to deal with the pressure at such a high level. When we saw someone, and I defend Sam Darnold. I'm recording this video at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3:53 to be exact in the morning, and it was right after watching Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to defend him in a separate video, not in this video, but you can still see that he did not handle the pressure very well. I can't get it right now, but you have to just take my word for it. But he did very well. He did not handle the pressure at all, and he had 22 pressures and 9 sacks, and I mean he was just getting decimated, and his pressure to sack percentage is 40.9, which is, I don't know if I've ever really seen it that high before. But again, you can see Bo Nix is within range of Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. When you are in that company, that is extraordinary. I mean, that is special. That is high level, because you're dealing with a lot of pressure, a lot of attacking. And again, you're a rookie on the road Like that is the moment that you're supposed to be rattled. And that's why, Ryan Clark's talking about like, oh, they made Bo Nix uncomfortable. They made him uncomfortable in the sense of like, those are the kind of the words that we use in terms of like uncomfortable, where like they're not able to have the levels of success that they would want. But in terms of like mentally uncomfortable, Bo Nix was never uncomfortable. Bo Nix was he uncomfortable like where you're laying in bed and it's like an itchy, blanket or something? Like, yeah, I'm uncomfortable, right? But in terms of like the mental uncomfortability of just kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm frazzled. There's a lot going on. This is the playoffs. Oh my God, the crowd, the fans, the this, the that. Like, that's not the case. That was not the case. He was comfortable. He was ready. He was focused. I mean, he never wavered. His hand was like this, man. He wasn't shaking. He was like this. And so like that, I will always be impressed by that for any quarterback, honestly, but especially a rookie quarterback. And I just don't want some of those things like that to go understated. I mean, he played pretty well. His passer rating was 93.8. Again, I don't want to pretend like Bo Nix had this amazing historic game, especially when we saw someone like Jane Daniels, but like Bo Nix did the best that he could in that given situation. Going up against the Buffalo Bills, they're a real team on the road. Josh, they dominated the clock. They held the ball for pretty much the entire game, and I think considering what the game was given to Bo, I just think he succeeded, and that is something that I just wanted to emphasize, honestly, more than anything. And I just think the future is incredibly bright. And when you have a rookie quarterback who is able to not be a liability for your team in the playoffs, your first time, that's a major victory. That's a major victory, and that just shows you, like, there's no question. Because so much when we look at these younger quarterbacks, we say, like, can they handle the moment? Can they handle the pressure? Can they handle adversity? And in a lot of ways, big picture, seeing Bo Nix still handle this moment and handle the pressure and handle the intensity on the road against the Buffalo Bills, hostile environment, and not waver, not collapse, that's arguably more impressive to me than watching him beat a lesser team, or even maybe beating a better team, but like that team is just obviously like collapsing and you're rolling now. Like it's so much more impressive to see him still get out there, to see him still get after it, to see him still doing everything he can for his team, for him to not collapse, for him to not just suddenly start throwing pick after pick after pick, trying to do too much, taking a terrible sack, now fumbling the ball. He never did that. And we've seen so many quarterbacks do that. We've seen so many quarterbacks just break. Quarterbacks that got paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Quarterbacks who balled out in playoff games because their team was rolling. And I got news for you. It is so easy to ball out when everything is going great. It's really easy to show up when everything is great, when everything is positive, right? Like it's really easy. And we've seen now other quarterbacks. I'm not going to use any names, but there's a couple of names in my mind. But I'll just keep it to myself for right now, because I feel like sometimes I use a couple of those quarterbacks too much, and But we got quarterbacks who, again, when things are great, they play great, and when things are bad, you see it just collapses. And you didn't see that. The dude never wavered. He was always in it. And honestly, if you just watched a random drive in that game, even when they were down big, fourth quarter, whatever, you would have no idea. If we removed the score, you would think that it's a tie game and it's all in Super Bowl. Like, that's the intensity that Bo Nix brought. And I love it, man. I love it. That is a guy who is just, he is with you to the end. And yeah, I just wanted to I just don't want that to go understated. It's so frustrating because there was no Denver Broncos content. Even this was not really Denver Broncos. This was more about the Buffalo Bills, and it's just like, it's frustrating. I get it, and I talked about it with some people on live, how there's just like a lack of the content for the Denver Broncos, and it's frustrating. It is what it is. Because then I even kind of searched and I was like, okay, let me try to find more clips with regards to the Denver Broncos, and like I just couldn't, and this is as good as it gets. So again, I want to give my hat tip to Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. This was an awesome season. I think Broncos fans should be absolutely thrilled. I think the momentum going into this season and the expectations should truly be through the roof. I'm not telling you that this next season it's just like, all right, it's AFC Championship or bust. Like, I'm not going that far either. All this so much will depend on the draft and free agency and whatnot, and still dealing with the Russell Wilson fallout, unfortunately. But it's just like I really, really, really strongly believe that Bo Nix is your guy. And I think even in a game like this where they obviously lose 31-7, that's proof. It's proof when you actually see how he played, how he composed himself. I mean, compare that to Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. That team completely fell apart. They did not look like they had anything together for even a moment. And even when a play went positive, it was just kind of felt like it was just a hope and a prayer. Even though the Broncos didn't have as much success as you would have liked them to, the success that they did have was very, very, very intentional. And when Bo Nix was successful, it wasn't just like, oh my God, I just got to let it rip. I really hope whoever is on the receiving end of this can catch it. Like, that's not what it was. And, I'm impressed. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix's performance in the playoffs? And, kind of what this is an indicator for the franchise and, Bo Nix specifically as well moving forward. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.